author John Jamison is a master storyteller, and he writes in several genres, and he has a couple different pen names. So I'm going to give them out.
Okay.
Yes, yes. It's so that this is the J.B. Jamison pen name means, hey, it's his Emily Graham adult mystery series.
Mm-hmm.
So know that you're going to go on an adventure,
Okay.
a scary one,
Mm-hmm.
And then Pops Jamison is his name for the Squirtlock Kids series. Now, Squirtlock, that's it. Everybody needs this in their life. I don't care how old you are. It's a kids series, and it encourages imagination and self-expression, which we love, creativity. So important to think beyond the cell phone, right, and beyond the screen.
Yeah.
And he definitely does that with both of his series. And we're thrilled to have him join us on today's Big Blend Radio Happy Hour show to talk about his writing and his book series. And I encourage you to go to his website, jbjamison.jamesonbooks.com. So welcome, John. How are you?
Hey, thank you very much. How are things in Tucson tonight?
Well, doing awesome since our last show here.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Yeah, you're on our special show. This is our final show from our little headquarters that we've been here for 3 years, and now we head off on the road for the rest of our lives, full time.
It is the last happy hour, huh? Well,
no,
not
last happy hour. Last happy hour in Tucson. We never give up our happy hours.
Oh, that's exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Well, thanks for having me.
Well, thank you. This is exciting. I've been excited to have you on the show because I love what you're doing in regards to getting people to think, have fun, feel something. I love what you're doing as a storyteller. I think that's so important in our lives that we need good stories. And and you're balancing a couple here. And I know you've written all kinds of things throughout your life, but you're balancing two polar opposites, but in some way they're kind of connected, right? Because it's a story, no matter what.
When it comes down to it, whether I'm writing, the Emily Graham stuff, which does get a little weird at times, or I'm writing about this 6-foot-tall Squirtlock, the goal is just to tell a story. That's all it is. And even when I do the nonfiction stuff, whether we're writing curriculum or something, the goal is to create something to pull people into, to just experience and have some fun. So that's, There's different little bits different, but basically it's just telling a good story.
We need it, and I know that we could be on the screen with our Kindle and things, but there's something about being able to also co-create, and I think that's what's also very important about mystery. Allows you to co-create and think, have some critical thinking. And then you have to be a good author so that people don't all right, I've already figured it out, I'm done.
That's a cool thing that you mentioned. When the first book came out, Disruption, which was the first Emily Graham thing, one of the feedback things I got from a reviewer was she had finished the book, liked it, but still couldn't describe what Emily looked like. Her complaint or criticism was I didn't give a good enough description of Emily. She and I talked, and I said, but I'll bet you can tell me exactly what she looks like. And she said, well, she's brunette, she's about 5'5", and I go, there you go. I built part of it, you did the rest of it. That's what it's all about. It's leaving room. I try to give enough to pull you in there, and then let your brain fill in those little pieces, whether it's the adult stuff or the kid stuff. Just like you say, we need more of that, I think.
Mm-hmm. But everybody sees everything differently anyway.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you're always, if you're looking at a painting or you're reading a book or you're out, enjoying nature, you see things and react to things differently than the person right next to you.
Mm-hmm.
So that makes total sense to me.
Yeah, one of the most fun arguments that we've had about the books is. At one point, somebody on Facebook posted, hey, when these become a movie, who should play Emily Graham? Holy cow. It went 1,800 different directions because everybody saw her differently, and that's just cool. They all owned it. They all saw it,
I think that, and it's interesting because, we always, and then there's a thing where people take ownership of it, like, no, this is how it is, man. So
it has to be
Emily, you've got two out now, Disruption and Distraction. Okay, Disruption, you went into New Orleans with her. And Emily, she's an FBI agent, right? So
Yeah.
I love this. I love today's show because it's like all the protagonists are women and they kick butt, right?
Mhm.
I don't,
Emily
so
does that. Yeah, you
yeah.
don't mess. I've learned not to mess with her. I have a strange relationship with my characters. Sometimes I worry about myself a little bit. When I started the first book, I didn't have any thought of Emily Graham. I had an idea for the story. The thing about the first book, Disruption, is about the towboat thing. That's an idea I had 30-some years ago. My dad was a riverboat captain, and one day I said, "Hey, Dad, I had this weird idea about a story about a towboat." And I told him about what I had. He said, "It's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in the world. That could never happen. Forget it." So I forgot it. 3 years ago, in the last conversation he and I had before he died, he had dementia, and we hadn't really had a conversation for months. We were sitting at the airport getting ready to take him to Dallas to visit my sister. And out of the haze, he looked at me and he said, "You remember that story you told me a long time ago?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "That scared the heck out of me because that could really happen. I just didn't want to think about it while I was still out there. You ought to write that down." And that's why I wrote that first book.
Wow.
I didn't know anything about Emily Graham until, chapter 20? I think chapter 20, I was sitting there writing, and at some point the FBI agent had to appear, and I was typing, and I typed, the door entered, and she came in, and I stopped and said, "She? Wait a minute." And I hadn't planned it, and then, "Who is this?" And it was Emily, and she appeared, and she has not stopped since then. It's been quite an experience.
And to write, a women, we've interviewed so many men writing women as the main character.
Yeah. It's
I don't like the
interesting.
word protagonist. I'm sorry. There's something weird. It just sounds like you're going to the doctor. I don't like that word. I have a hard time with it.
Pathologist.
No, I know.
Yeah.
No, but I just don't like it. This is weird. But what is this now? A lot of men are writing women, and they're kick butt women. There's no, they're in there, but then you're getting into the emotions of women. So this is very interesting for you. Are you going and asking other women for, like, hey, is this okay? Is this work, or just going for it?
I thought about that because one comment I've heard a lot of is, men can't write good women as characters because, we don't understand the experience. So I thought, okay, do I need to talk? And I said, no, I'm just going to. I spent 20-some years as a pastoral counselor, pastoral psychotherapist. I spent a lot of time doing the counseling stuff.
And you're still on our show? Oh my God!
But through all of that, so Emily, to me, if somebody asked me to describe her, I don't know her hair color for sure. I don't know really how tall she is, but I know Emily, and she's kind of a type of the what I've experienced through all the years, and that's where it came from. And when I first started, I thought of, maybe I better check this with either my wife or my sister or my daughter. But I figured, no, my goal at first was just to write that first book, get that story out of my head. I never thought of a series. I never thought of a character moving on. So I just did it, and I was pleased and really kind of surprised that the comment I got so many times was, she's real. She talks real.
Awesome.
She acts real, and that's real. That was really nice to hear. Yeah.
Do you talk to her?
Oh, yeah, when she lets me. We trade emails. When I come to a point when I'm not sure, I don't write the stories. I kind of report what happens, and
like
when I'm not sure, I'll go to bed at night. I'll go in and I'll send an email to Emily. And I'll go in the morning, log in, and I'll write the response, and then I read the response from Emily for all my characters. In this last book, not only was it with Emily, but it's with the new book, Disbelief, coming out next month. This guy, Klaus, bad guy, he scared the heck out of me because he was following me around. I mean, this guy, but that's where my characters are. To me, they're very, very real people. I've taken time. I was in the coffee house here a while back, standing in a long line, and I stood there and said, okay, how's Emily going to handle this? And I sit there, and Emily starts fidgeting. She pulls out her phone, and it's in me. And
wow.
that's why I said sometimes I worry a little bit.
But that's good. That's cool.
So is it possible that I always think people have multiple personalities, and different personalities or actions or attitudes come out according to what's happening right there in the given moment.
Yeah.
So when it gets too far out there, then maybe you end up in an asylum or a hospital or something. But for the most part,
I hope not.
I know, me either.
I don't want
Might
to
be
be
a good
that.
book.
But but for the most part, it's like I think that if you're reactionary and you react, you respond differently than if you are a person able to say, okay, and let me not really act till I think it through, and then I will respond as opposed to react. But I think this is where characters come from, because I think we're assimilated from a whole bunch of characters.
Yeah. I think there's truth to that. For me, also, I think I grew up with some very strong personality parents. My dad was a riverboat captain, very much
That's
the
so
captain.
cool.
And he made it clear, I am the captain, I have been a captain, I will be a captain for 10 years after I'm dead and gone. When he was on the boat, my mother was the captain. And she made it very clear she was the captain. So I had a very strong father figure, very strong mother figure. Then when Dad came home, it was a house with two captains, which, oh man, you don't go there. But that was part of it. And then with my career training in counseling and so forth, I did clinical training where we did things called verbatims. We'd go in and talk for an hour with someone in counseling, take no notes, and then go back out and have to write the hour conversation word for word. We did that 10, 15 times a day, every day for 3 months. And that, I think, it's gotten me, I listen differently, I think, and I think that helps. I'm able to get inside, and that helps a little bit. So like I say, I can't describe Emily's appearance, but I know Emily. Yeah.
So let's talk about, let's jump over the river. Man, I love that your parents were riverboat captains. I mean, that is the coolest.
So cool.
Like, riverboat captain, I just hear that, and I want to write stuff, and I want to write music. We know musicians have written Annie Christmas. She was a riverboat captain in New Orleans.
She was bad.
She was she had mustache, too.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I up until a couple of years ago, I was the only male on my dad's whole side of the family that did not go to work on the river. I still have uncles and cousins that are out there. Dad made it a point that I was going to go to college instead. So yeah, it's in the blood, and nothing but stories. I grew up. My other side of the family was all railroad people. So no matter where I went, it was just story after story.
Everyone's
after
moving in stories because it's people. It's like you're meeting people all the time. I think that's where we are as travelers. It's like we meet people all the time, and it's like, and you think in that split second, okay, size them up and understand where you are with this person. And then no matter what, everybody has a surprise for you. No matter what, it doesn't matter. They have a surprise. You could be 100% correct, but then there's going to be something. There's going to be a surprise, which I love. And I think with what you're doing with Squirdlock, that's a surprise because a lot of people go, oh, man, he's going in this crazy, mystery. And it is, fear. And then all of a sudden, here comes Squirdlock. And Squirdlock, seriously, like I just even the name Nancy's like it's Sherlock for kids, but Sherlock Holmes, but Squirdlock. I mean, even the art, and you're doing the art yourself, right? On this is fun stuff.
That was for good or bad. That was a choice. The Squirdlock showed up like Emily did. One night about 38 years ago, I was sitting in a rocking chair holding our 2-year-old daughter who was sick. We were rocking the middle of the night, humming and all that. I started humming this tune. And then, words started coming. Oh, I wish I had a Squirdlock, a funny-looking dog, ears just like an elephant, a nose just like a hog. And that song came. The Squirdlock has been a part of the family ever since. Anytime somebody did something dumb, we'd go, oh, you Squirdlock. Well, about 3 years ago, I had tried to draw it. I got illustrators. I described it, tried to get them to draw it for me. Just didn't work. A couple of years ago, I was with my granddaughter, who was 3 or 4, and she said, what does the Squirdlock look like? So I got a piece of paper and a pencil. I'm not an artist, but I just started drawing. Okay, ears like an elephant, nose like a hog. And I got it done. It was bad. Lines were crooked. And I got it done, and the Squirdlock said, so where's my shoes? So, okay, so I added shoes. And then the Squirt Lock said, so what, no color? So then Emily went and got her watercolors. We colored it. It was messy, which, because I'm not an artist, Squirt Lock looked at me and said, so now you're going to write my book now or what? And that's where it started. This thing came alive, and the first book, Meet the Squirt Lock, is about that, how we met him. But he's a living, breathing creature. The difference with that, with the Squirt Lock, the story, watching my grandkids especially, kids are the ultimate storytellers. Guess what? Guess what? Then and then what happened? And then. But I've watched, as my grandson's gotten older now, 4th, 5th grade, I've watched, that story magic is, I support education. I'm not bad at bashing education, but I've watched the light change in his eyes. And he's gone from that magic to stories are fine, they have a place, but math tables, and now you're going to read, but we're going to test you on what you're reading for retention and all that. That's all important. Yeah. And it just, and when I talk with other authors who write children's books, so what's the theme? What's the message? Is it about abuse, bullying? And I go, I'm sorry, Pops doesn't write messages. Pops writes. The Squirt Lock is just an excuse to curl up on a sofa with a pre-reader, early reader, and laugh together. No moral, no message. It's just fun.
Yeah, but you know what? I think that's really important right now because kids are being, I almost feel like schools are bullying them in a way, right? The level, and it goes, in high school kids, we do a lot on education on our shows, and it's almost like every day they go to school, it's another book on their shoulders of stress. Like, here, we're going to just keep weighing you down with all of this, and then it's everything digital. So now we're giving our kids, not only our adults, in this crazy stress-induced mania because of how we all live nowadays, and now what are we doing to our kids? The kids are doing the same thing. They're walking into telephone poles with their phone. So are adults. And we're doing this, so there's this disconnection, and there's this hamster wheel. It's like as soon as the kid comes out, welcome to the world. Get on the hamster wheel and go. See how fast you can fly.
Here's your agenda for the first 6 months of your life. We're still working on the next 6. Yeah, I get it. So the Squirt Lock things are just stories for kids to escape and to imagine.
Yeah,
I remember
they have fun.
I remember back, as a kid dreaming, one of these days we could go to the moon, we could do that. I'm not saying the old days were better. Now I watch my grandkids, and they're thinking about, reading about either, Legos or monsters, good story stuff, but that dream stuff, what could I do or become in my future? I don't find a lot of that. That's what the Squirt Lock to me is about. It's that escape. To me, it's the same with the adult stuff, the Emily Graham stuff. Part of it is just to get lost and escape, but underneath it, each of the Emily Graham books comes back to something dirty underneath it. The first one was about this towboat, a real risk in the towboat industry, and a real potential risk that nobody talks about. The second book, Distraction, talks about something. I stumbled across an article about something in St. Louis, and when I read it, I said, this can't be real. I researched it, and it is real. Something outside the city of St. Louis, a dump with radiation and stuff. It is there, and we're not talking about it, so Emily did. The third book is the same kind of thing. There's a root thing that Emily started harping me about, and that turned into the third book, Disbelief. She's already started yelling about the fourth one, by the way. But it's got that core serious part to it, but over top of it, it's just, let's just escape from the pressures and just enjoy a good story.
I think it would be fun to crawl instead of walk, and like on a hike, you might need knee pads or something. But if you
in the desert,
if you crawl through a national park or a park as a child, you will see things that you don't see as an adult because you're up there and they're down there, and their world is what exactly they can see right in front of them at a different perspective, different angle, and they'll see things that you just walk by. And I think
that's a very real thing. We developed a story-based training for child safety in a house here a while back. And we did it in a 3D world. And the idea is, as the adult, you walk through this 3D environment, and you had to identify all of the risks. Then you went back out, and your avatar was shrunk to toddler size, and you walked through that house again. It was a completely different experience. You're exactly right.
Yeah.
Wow. And I wanted to just go back to Squirt Lock, because I just want to keep saying that.
You really want to say.
I love that, especially on a happy hour. No, but Squirt Lock, and it goes with what Nancy was saying. We do all this. Our whole travels, our Love Your Parks tour is to document every park in America and all sizes. We started with national parks in phase 1, where we're on the road for 3 years. Now we're going full time for all parks, and we realized that. And we were with a friend of ours with his little girl.
Yeah. That's what I was thinking of.
I know.
Exactly.
Yeah, little Delilah. And I don't have a bunch of experience with kids. All I know is that as soon as I'm around kids, you become one. And she grabbed my hand, and we looked at flowers together, which I'm supposed to be filming, but she's like, no. There's fairy houses in here, and they want to talk to you, and there's a fairy in there, and then all of a sudden you're stuck in that zone, and it feels so darn good. And that's the importance about like Squirt Lock to me, is that when parents sit down with their kids, or anybody, an older brother or sister, or family friend sits down with a kid, not only are you helping a kid, but I think we as adults need the excuse to go back to kids' books.
Yep.
I'm just saying.
I haven't told anybody about this, so the Squirt Lock currently is the set of 3 or 4 children's books. But my daughter now is almost 40, and she still deals with the Squirt Lock. There's a set of Squirt Lock stories coming out for older kids, as well as Squirt Lock books for adults. You're exactly right. The Squirt Lock is a point of view that we all need. It's a way of looking at the world that it just lets you breathe. The muscle tension eases. You can breathe. The air smells nice. It's a way of being.
Don't you think there's a little Dr. Seuss in there?
Yeah, it's that. It's also I haven't really thought of that. If I had to compare it to one, I would go to Calvin and Hobbes. I think Squirt Lock is a Hobbesian. The tiger.
I like Hobbesian.
Yeah, it's a philosophy. If it doesn't exist, it does now. But that's kind of his view. He looks at the human world and goes, "What? No,
I love this. You rock, man. I hope we get to meet you when we go through the Midwest. It's so much fun chatting with you, and your books are just like, okay, take us away. Thank you for that. And we get to play happy hour with you, and we get to ring the bell.
Awesome.
Because we like the bell. So JB or Pops or John Jamison, who would you like to spend happy hour with? Who would it be, alive or passed on? Where would you spend it? What are you going to drink alive? I was going to say alive or passed on, non-alcoholic or alcoholic, but we want to know what the gossip is about. What's the discussion?
This was tough. I thought a little about it. Out of everybody, it would be an uncle of mine I never knew but always heard about. His name was Peacock. Nobody knew why he was called Peacock. He was just Uncle Peacock. He was my grandfather's brother. He lived on a houseboat on the Illinois River. Stories about him include the night he tried to impress a woman he met at the bar, and he told her he was going to take his boat to New Orleans. So he went out, untied it. He'd had a bit, untied it, half-mile downriver, ran into an island. But rather than be embarrassed, he just stayed there for a month and then went home and said he'd been to New Orleans. Everybody knew where he was. He's also the one that blew up the outhouse at the House of Ill Repute in town. I don't know why. I would like to sit down with him on his houseboat and have enough cold beer just to keep him telling his stories. I think I would have enough to. That's what I would do.
Who blew up the outhouse?
This is one of the coolest answers ever. I want to go, and I want to know if he knows Annie Christmas. I want to meet Annie Christmas in New Orleans when she's gone.
We don't know why he blew up the outhouse. Fortunately, there was nobody in it at the time, but he meant apparently he meant to just kind of, knock the door off, but he used a full stick of dynamite, and it blew the whole backyard away.
Yeah, but you know what? Like, they have people like in the, those little houses where you shake them, like not the little houses, the little toilets, when you're going to a festival or something, you have to go in those little porta potties. Yeah.
Yes.
And then, if you've done something, someone will come and shake that, and that's terrible. Like, you do not want to be rocked in a porta potty.
I know we were at a place where somebody tipped one over while
somebody.
Yes.
It is
I don't even want to think about that one.
But an outhouse blowing up, and I know about outhouses from when we lived in South Africa. It's not cool. There was one with wasps in there.
Yeah.
Because he had no, they called it the pink calmer.
No,
which is the pink room.
Exactly what
they used to
called it.
Anyway, let me just there's the pink, and then there's
another word there.
The P room. But anyway.
That in the Sears catalog, it's always in there, so you had paper. Yep, that was how it worked.
The Sears catalog. Don't get a paper cut. That's not fun.
Johnny Holmes.
I know.
Go.
All right. Such a pleasure having you on the show. And everyone, go again to JB's website, JB Jamison and Pops Jamison. Go to jbjamison.jamisonbooks.com. Did I get that right? That's the full website.
Or just jamisonbooks.com will get you both of them. Yep.
Okay, jamisonbooks.com.
You just walk up and order a Jameson.
Yeah, that's it.
That's right. That is the family. But when ours came across, they changed the E to an I, and we were disinherited, so I don't get any for Christmas. But that's us.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Okay.
Except for being disinherited. I mean, that.
But it's nice for the family tree. It looks nice.
Yeah.
Oh man, hysterical.
Wow.
It's funny.
Cool.
This is so funny. I'm going to call you when we get to New Orleans.
Really?
I'm going to.
Do that.
I'm going to call
one
you
one of these days. I'm going to get in the car and I'm going to make the whole driving trip from that first book all the way from New Orleans up to St. Louis. I got to visit all those. I heard earlier I am a Google Earth user, but I want to visit those places in person and just say hi to everybody. Hey, good luck in you guys' new story. That's going to be awesome.
It is going to be fun. It is. You know what? People are sending me porta potty pictures now. I'm just saying. Thank you, Steve Schneikert, our Hollywood historian. They're Facebooking me messages. They're sending me all kinds of cool things. But yeah, that's interesting. In St. Louis, to me, that's the 60th National Park, the Golden Arch over there.
Yes.
And I'm very excited about St. Louis because that is like I think, this country's hottest bed of history is sitting in there because it was like in the Civil War and everything. All this stuff happened where everybody was in different camps in that one place, and I cannot wait for St. Louis. This is such a cool place.
Yeah, well, when you get up in this area, we're in central Illinois, so when you get up that way, holler, and we'll get together, and I'll tell you more peacock stories.
Oh, cool. We like peacock stories.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's cool.
I like it.
Everyone, again, go get Emily Graham, the mystery series, and Squidlock, the kids' book. You know, like if you were on later in the show, I wouldn't be able to say Squidlock, right? You know that. But everyone, thanks again also to JKS Communications. Keep up with them, jkscommunications.com. But we've got a song here. This is for Emily, okay, this song. This is called Witness Protection. Sorry, but I just thought it would be good, and it's a good song. This is from our friend Allison August, and it's from her album Holy Water. And go get it. Go to AllisonAugust.com. It's Allison with 2 L's. So here it is, Witness Protection. Thanks so much for joining us, JB.
Thank you very much. Have a great time. Travel safe.
You too. Take care.
I know you're creeping up behind me. I feel you breathing down my neck. Didn't take long for you to find me. You're like a monkey on my back. You know I